we're going to get to the real fun stuff. We're going to do some infantry movement. So if everybody could hop out, you can switch back to your class of choice. And first of all, before we get moving around here, I'd like to talk about general squad composition, how we can be the most effective as a squad. And basically, we're going to want a couple of medics, we're going to want an engineer, and we're going to want one infiltrator. Infiltrator is going to be very important when we need to hack a terminal or scout ahead or anything like that. So they'll be running around quite a bit. If we don't have any terminals or anything to hack right away, infiltrators can sneak off to the side and try to pick some people off. Just make sure you're not giving away the location of the entire squad when you do so. As for everyone else, I see we've got a couple medics. I see we've, got a couple engineers. That's excellent. Everybody else is heavy assault, light assault, whatever makes you comfortable. If you got a lot of cert points into something and it's not quite in these bounds, a lot of times that's fine because you are much more effective where you have your certs. So, any questions about squad composition?
Yeah, will we ever be using maxes just as a default when we're roaming around, or is it a circumstantial thing?
You could, if you're gonna go max, if we've got our medics and engineers covered, you can go max and make sure it's anti-personnel or 1-in-1. Probably anti-personnel and well, it depends.
Well, maxes are mostly going to be used for taking the big bases more than anything.
Yeah, I don't mind if you're rolling a max.
Or a tech plant.
Just make sure your loadout is primarily for infantry, because that's what we're concentrating on going up against. Okay, anyway, so that's composition.
User
Scroll
joined
down my notes a bit here.
You can tell who's a light assault.
Gentlemen.
Alright, and once in a while, you may have a squad leader call you out of our standard composition. First of all, if we need to go over a wall somewhere, you might say, alright, I want everybody to be light assault. We're all going to fly over this wall. You should immediately switch for something like that. If there's a lot of enemy air, he may say, we need lots of burster maxes and engineers for ammo. So everybody should be switching into one of those roles. Medics, if you could stay with the group,
User joined your channel.
You gotta stay a medic for most of this stuff regardless. And then if there's a bunch of arm, you might want a bunch of heavy assault and engineers, you know?
Aetrix, I'm going to move us into the drill pad.
Alright, let's do that.
User was moved out of
See
your
you in the
channel.
other
User was moved out of your
channel.
channel. User was moved out of your channel.
I'm still alive.
User was moved out of your channel. User was moved out of your channel.
My ears, they bleed.
Users, what do?
Karamax, we're doing training right now, if you don't mind.
That's my fault, I moved him.
Oh, right. I'll peace.
Alright, later, man.
See ya.
User left your channel.
Alright. What was that?
Somebody's just joined us.
Oh, Hypermedic. Hypermedic, we're doing training right now, if you don't mind. It will be done again at another point.
Hyper is not. Oh, there he is. Sure enough.
Alright,
User
so
joined your channel.
that's composition.
TeamSpeak.
Now we're gonna go over movement.
User disconnected from your channel.
The most important
User in
thing
your
with
channel
movement,
timed
and
out.
this is counterintuitive to everything you've done so far, is the use of your sprint key. When you're all alone, dodging enemies, running through bases, everybody's almost certainly used to sprinting constantly everywhere they go. And that's wrong for organized squad. The reason we're not going to sprint is because we want to be moving slowly, we want to be checking corners, we want to be looking for enemies before we cross doorways, and anything like that. Perhaps even more importantly, if somebody falls behind, it allows them to catch up to the rest of the squad. It allows us to cross a dangerous area quickly and then move back to a slower pace so other people behind us can cross the area and catch up. So use sprint very sparingly, as little as possible. Any questions about that? Okie doke. So you guys can follow Aetrix around. I'm actually going to go max. So you can spot me easier. Well, you know what? Maybe not. I'm going to stick with my heavy assault. Let me switch to heavy assault here.
Yeah,
Just put up
heavies are
some
kinda
funky
good.
camo if you got it.
Yeah, I've got... Let me see if I can get some camo real
Yeah,
quick.
heavies are
That will
fast.
leave us with just one engineer, is that enough?
Yeah, for what we're doing here, we're not going into combat just yet, so we'll be alright with one.
Probably
Let's
don't
see.
need me as a max for this situation, so I can switch to NG.
I'm gonna go with... How about some giraffe? That
There you
sounds
go.
fun.
That'll make it noticeable.
Jeez, Aetrix, how much camo do you have?
Quite a bit.
That's one of the things I do want to buy is camo.
Yeah,
lots
wait
of
for the
camo.
triple station cache.
Yep.
Oh, did I buy the wrong one? Son of a bitch.
Hey, you bought the armor camo
Uh,
or weapon camo.
If you buy an infantry camo, is that specific to one class?
No,
No.
just infantry. If infantry armor and weapon camo, I believe, or is the infantry camo also for the weapons? I don't know.
The armor camo is also separate from the vehicles.
Alright, so
Yeah.
I should stand out a little bit now. You guys can
Yeah.
follow Aetrix around here. So, like I said, the most important thing is to cover your corners and stuff like that. Now, if you're the first person in line moving through the group, it won't always be the squad leader, and you should never be first in line for long. That's because every time we're moving as a group and you get to a doorway or a corner or something like that, you're going to duck down and cover as the rest of the squad moves across. Now we're going to have a new person in front, and you should keep following him. So, I guess this is a very basic form of leapfrogging. We'll get more into that later, but first person in line should cover and let the rest of the squad go through. If you find yourself falling behind, sprint to catch up. Looks like we're using some pretty good spacing here, and yeah, this looks good. We're moving around the building. Second person in line, it's not a bad idea to turn around and actually cover the rear as people are going by. So make sure you pay attention to your map, stick together, move as a squad. You should be watching everywhere you can for enemies, spotting them if you can, announcing their direction. So that's basic movement in a nutshell. Let me check my notes here real quick.
Tick needs to AFK for about 5 minutes. Kid started crying again.
Okay, go ahead, Tick. Now, as far as, let me talk about cover real quick. You should always be trying to use cover, whether that's sticking close to a building, whether that's ducking behind the crates over here. You should always be trying to reduce the amount of your body that the enemy has a shot at all times. Whenever you have cover, use it. You're way safer behind that than you are out in the open. I also like to talk about different types of concealment. First of all, being quiet. If we're trying to move across a base and you see an enemy way off in the distance that doesn't see us and isn't going to come get us, try not to open fire on him, especially when we're moving across the map. And because at that point, once again, just like the Sunderer, we're trying to get to our destination so we can cap a point or do something, and we really don't want to start a fight out in the middle of the open. So now, obviously, if they're right on top of you, you want to kill them before they kill us. But if they don't see you and they're far off, just spot them, let your squad mates know he's there, and keep moving. Besides being quiet, there's also a couple other different types of concealment. There's grass and bushes and things like that. They won't stop a bullet, and an enemy can spot you in it, but it will make it a lot harder for them to see you. You could use that to your advantage. Also, shadows. It's not going to help much during the day, but if you've ever tried to fight the Vanu at night, you know what it's like to try to shoot enemies who are very well camouflaged in the dark. Shadows actually do help. Try to keep that in mind and use that to your advantage, especially at night. Any questions?
I've got a comment.
Okie doke.
I've noticed that whenever I was running around by myself, if I was in a base and the enemy came along, whether it be Vanu or NC, if you get into a shadow and don't shoot at anybody, they'll never see you because they never look for anybody unless you're shooting at them.
Absolutely. In fact, just yesterday, I was running around solo, just trying to burn off 30 minutes and screw around. And I was following around the Zerg and going in and capping these bases, but I was all by myself. I didn't have a squad to run with. And I would go in and I would pick a corner and I would just hide for a minute. And people would go running right by me. And I'd light them up from behind. I'd be sneaky. I'd kill somebody and then run out the door and hide around a corner. And just using cover and concealment and keeping quiet most of the time. I had a kill to death ratio, but by the time I quit, it was like 6. It was ridiculous. And this was a solo guy on the ground doing infantry by himself against like an entire enemy group. So, if you work smart, you can definitely use it to your advantage. And get a lot of kills and not a lot of deaths. So, not like it matters, but... Anyway, so that's concealment. I went over not sprinting. Like I said, the point of this is to stay together, move as a unit, and take out enemies. Now, what happens if we're moving along and somebody dies? Well, let's say we're moving and, oh my god, Super Thrive got shot in the head. What happens? Well, we're going to have everybody that's with the group stop. First of all, Super Thrive, you have to announce Super Thrive
Alpha down.
3,
So go ahead and
Super
do that.
Thrive down.
Excellent. That's perfect. So we say, all right, we got to stop and get him up. We got to set up a perimeter around here. So everybody needs to pick a point and cover it and watch a direction. Once that's done, the medics can get in there and pick him up and res him up.
Aren't we supposed to teabag him first?
Only if you don't like it.
All right, so we got him up. He's all resed up and safe. We're going to start moving out again. So follow Aetrix. We're going north. All right, let's talk about a couple different strategies when we're moving. Whenever we're going along a big wall like this, you're going to want to fan your view out. They call this file movement in our meeting notes, but basically the guy in front is going to be facing forward. The next guy out is going to be turning a little bit to the right and looking out at a diagonal. Everybody in the middle is going to be their back to the wall and looking straight across for enemies, and the guys in the back are going to be covering the rear. Another reason we move without sprinting is you can walk just as fast backwards as you can forwards when you're not sprinting. So that'll help the group stay together. So that's file movement. Let's all line up and move around this building once or twice with that in mind. Fresher, you're going to be first in line, so you could lead. And remember, when we get to corners, we're going to want to cover. And, alright, so Thrasher's covering, very good. We're moving around. I'm going to cover this doorway here and make sure that's clear. People keep going. Make sure we're sticking together, guys. Now, we don't have a heck of a lot of direction right now because we're not really moving towards the squad waypoint, but this is good practice to get us moving together.
User joined your channel.
Sweeping through a building. So that's pretty good. Alright, so you get the general idea there. Now I'd like to talk about how we breach doorways. Everybody wants to come back out near Aetrix here. I'm on the north side of the building. Now, if we know there's a bunch of enemies in there, if it's like a capture point room or something like that, you're pretty sure you're going to have enemies in there. and they've got the doors covered. So how do we get in there quickly and take that room off of them with as few casualties as possible?
Would you use a...
First,
Oh, sorry. Thought that was a question.
first of all, we'd like the medics to sort of hang back and go in last. You're the cleanup crew after we all go in and suicide in this doorway. But basically what everybody's going to do is line up on one side of the doorway. What you don't want to do is enter this area. You don't want to cross. You don't want to get in their line of fire. You do not want them to know we're here at this point. So we line up next to the door, and the first person in line, what's going to happen is they're going to throw a grenade in the room, and as soon as that grenade goes off, everybody's going in the doorway. Once we get in the doorway, we need to spread out, because this door is a choke point. It's death. We cannot stay put in there. So it's grenade out, get through the doorway as fast as possible. Where do we go when we get in there? Well, this is the way it's always going to work in an IR squad. First person in the door is always going right. The second person in is always going left. That's to cover our corners. And that's the way it's going to work no matter which side we're coming from, no matter what's happening. First in right, second in left. Beyond that, odds and evens. This is where that's going to come into play. Pay attention to whether you're an odd or an even. And once the first two are through, everyone behind will be going odds left, evens right. We tried to just alternate all the way through before, and what was happening was everybody was, with a little bit of lag and everybody coming through at the same time, it was chaos trying to figure out exactly which side. People were hesitating. We'd end up with way too many on one side and not enough on the other. So that's why we do the odds and evens. So we're going to try that one more time just to recap. Grenade out, first in right, second in left. Make sure you get out of the doorway quickly. And once we're in, you're going to move along the wall and try to wrap the room up. Get as far away from that door as you can. So let's try this right now. I'm going to toss a grenade and then we're going to go. So we're breaching, get up against the wall, grenade out.
It lags, sorry.
Go, go, go. All right, that looks excellent. So everybody went in, spread out, and they're moving along the walls, clearing out the building. So that's how we breach a door. That went way better than it did the last time I tried this. So maybe I'm explaining better. Maybe you guys are just awesome. I don't know. But either way, that was very good. I don't even feel a need to go over that again. That's how a breach works. Next up, let me see.
Just on the grenades, should we be using frags, or should the point man maybe take a concussion grenade or something?
That requires specific class, so no.
We're gonna go under the assumption that it's a frag grenade. If you're using something else, I believe, who's got a concussion or a flash right now? Anybody have a flash grenade?
That's a quick question. I just got off of work. Have I missed a lot? I really wanted to make it to this.
Yes, you did. We will be running more of them. If you want to get in from the beginning, we'll be announcing when we're doing more of these.
Okay.
Okie doke. So,
I got a question.
anyway, yep, go ahead.
I've noticed that whenever I throw a grenade, it comes out of my right hand. Is it better to breach the door from the left so that you don't bounce it off the door frame and kill everybody?
They've actually updated that where it comes straight out in front of you now.
Oh, did they? Good.
Yeah, it goes straight to where your crosshair is pointing, not to the right of it.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
And another thing I like to do, if I'm on... Come on outside and I'll show you what I'm talking about here.
Watch that door.
If I'm on the left side of the doorway here, a lot of the times, just to save myself from getting out in the open and exposing my body, what I'll actually do is bounce that grenade off the opposite side of the door frame and into the room. They do bounce very well, and especially if you're over the right side. Back when it was doing one hand coming out of your right hand all the time, you almost didn't have a choice but to bounce it off the door frame instead of going and trying to toss it in the room. Do practice with your grenades, and if you're real bad at grenades, let us know before you go tossing it so we know that we might have to bug out.
Just don't be in the front of the line.
Yep. Alright, so let's see. We did entering a doorway. Let's do crossing and intersection. I want everybody up against this little container over here.
Aetrix,
Somebody
could
have a
I for a
comment?
moment?
Yeah.
Are you gonna have an actual grenade part of this course, or?
No.
Because I like to yell out grenade in TeamSpeak just so that everybody notices that little red dot is actually death in a moment.
Yes, absolutely let your squad know when you're throwing a grenade out.
Well, let them know when you're throwing it near them at the least.
Yeah, if there's a grenade at your feet, let them know, because a split second could be the time to get out of that sphere of death. And the
I
sphere of
honestly
hurt.
don't want to hear somebody screaming grenade every time they throw one, but if you're throwing one near friendlies, definitely say it.
Right. As a warning.
Alright, so that's good. Now let's say we're moving to the west along this thing, and we come up to this corner here, and there's this area off to the right. There may be enemies over there. Actually, there's an area off to the left, too. How do we get everybody safely across here without getting everybody killed? When we come to a corner like this, like I said, we're going to have somebody covering. I want to have 2 people set up over here, right on the corner. We could probably have another guy watching the area over to the left, just making sure it's clear over that direction. So we move up and we set up cover here, and then the squad moves across while that cover's sitting there. So you're all going to come across over to Aetrix. Now, when we get over to the opposite side, we've still got 2 guys stranded over there. So on the other side, you're going to set up cover for them coming back across. Once we're set up over here, then the rest of the guys can come across. And that should get us across safely. Now, I've done this without even really telling everybody what's going on a couple times. We were running as a squad trying to stay together and moving towards a capture point or something. And you wouldn't believe how many kills you could get setting up cover for people. Especially in a situation like this. They normally don't see you on the corner. What they see is a whole group of people sprinting across. And they say, holy crap, look at all these awesome free kills I'm about to get. They'll come running out from their cover, they'll get right out in the open, they'll open fire, and you're just going to be sitting there, kneeled down, ready to pick them off. It's beautiful how many kills you'll get being the cover guy. So please cover as much as you can. Okie doke. Let's see. So we did move it across an intersection. Last but not least is hallways. Let me see if I can find a building with a good hallway. This works in here. If you want to come out to Aetrix here. When we're moving into a building and we've got a hallway, there is one in here. These stairs count as a long hallway, things like that. What you're going to want to do is set people up on both sides of the wall. And when you're moving through the wall, you're going to want to look diagonally forward. If I'm on the right, I'm going to look diagonally forward to the left, and on the opposite side you're going to look the other way. And as we move down this hall, what this is going to allow us to do is when we get to the very end here, you can see it, by the time you get to the end of the hall, you're already covering the far corner. And so if there was somebody hiding way over here, you'd see them right when you come around the corner, and you'd be able to get shots off on them. You wouldn't have a lot of time to react, so that'd be pretty good. So the front guys in line definitely want to look that direction. If you're in the back, you can either pick a spot on the wall, you can come down the middle of the hallway, and we should have people watching our back as well. If you're near the back of the group, you should always be turning around and trying to walk backwards. So that's how we do hallways. Once we clear this room out down here, we're going to go up the steps, so let's move around, and that's going to be another hallway. Somebody should cover this door as the squad's in there. And remember, try to work as a group. And then we move up this way. Alright, we're going up the steps. Corner's clear. Setting up cover on the doorway. So you get the general idea. Okay, so that's hallways. Pretty easy. Any questions about any of this stuff so far?
Yeah, I noticed over by the corner, there's a door back there, and the other hallway off to my left. Covering that, would it be the center people?
Well, what I'm gonna say is use your brain. Like I said before, when we're moving through installations, none of this is gonna be perfect. There's always gonna be enemies coming at us. There's always gonna be people getting cut off. The idea is to just be smart about everything you do. If you see something that you think needs to be covered as the group is going by all means, go up and cover it. The squad leader is not going to say, okay, we're coming to an intersection, now cover left and right. Like, this is all going to be automatic. The purpose of this course is to get us thinking this way. So, just use your brain. That's my answer for you.
Because I noticed that was uncovered, so I took it upon myself to actually do that.
Yes, absolutely. That's what needs to happen. Okie doke. Now then, let's see. Another thing I'd like to talk about, well, while we're in this room, let's talk about room defense. Now, when we come up this stairway, we should get in here and we should move along, spread out, move along the different walls.